The hunted becomes the hunter. The research vessel Celestial Seeker shuddered as another energy blast struck its failing shields. Captain Ilara Voss gripped the command chair, her luminescent skin flickering with stress patterns as the warning alerts blared across the bridge. The Navari were explorers and scientists, not warriors. Their species had evolved on a world with minimal predators, developing intelligence and cooperation rather than aggression. For centuries, this approach had served them well as they charted the stars. Until they encountered the Krell. Shield integrity at 17%, reported Science Officer Thalen, his four-fingered hands moving frantically across the control panel. The Krell are adjusting their attack vectors for another pass. How many vessels now? Asked Ilara, though she already knew the answer would bring no comfort. 8 confirmed hunter ships, Captain. 2 more emerging from behind the gas giant. Thalen's voice remained steady, but his skin betrayed his fear, shifting from its normal azure to a pale violet. Ilara surveyed her bridge crew. The Navari prided themselves on logical thinking and meticulous preparation, but nothing had prepared them for the Krell, a species that saw all others as prey to be hunted for sport and resources. Begin emergency data transmission to the collective, Ilara ordered. Our research on the quantum crystalline formations must be preserved. Transmission initiated, Thalen replied, but the Krell are jamming our long-range communications. The signal won't reach beyond this system. Silence fell across the bridge. Every Navari present understood what that meant. Their discoveries would perish with them, and other research vessels would eventually meet the same fate upon entering this resource-rich sector. The ship rocked violently as another blast struck them directly. Shields at 9%, announced the system's operator. We cannot withstand another coordinated attack. Ilara was preparing her final words as captain when the sensor array chimed with an unexpected alert. New contact detected, Thalen said, confusion evident in his voice. Small vessel, unknown configuration. It's on an intercept course with the lead Krell ship. On the main view screen, a sleek craft no larger than a shuttle appeared, moving at tremendous speed directly toward the largest Krell vessel. The Krell, apparently confused by this development, adjusted their formation slightly. What species would be foolish enough to? Ilara's words died in her throat as the small ship performed a maneuver that defied conventional space combat tactics. Instead of avoiding the Krell weapons range, the unknown vessel accelerated straight toward it, only to execute a last-second evasive pattern that caused 2 Krell ships to fire upon each other. In the confusion, the small craft then released precisely targeted explosives at the lead Krell ship's sensor array. Impossible, whispered Thalen, his skin now pulsing with astonishment. That level of precision piloting. The Krell formation broke apart as their lead ship spun out of control, its navigation systems damaged. The small vessel continued its erratic, unpredictable movements, somehow anticipating the Krell attack patterns. We're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel, said the communications officer. Audio only. Put it through, ordered Ilara. A calm, confident voice filled the bridge, speaking in standard galactic trade language with an unfamiliar accent. Navari vessel, this is Scout Ship Athena of the United Earth Defense Force. Your shields are failing. I'm creating a diversion. Be ready to follow my vector toward the nebula's edge. The radiation field should provide temporary cover. The bridge crew turned to Ilara in confusion. No one identified our species to this stranger, Thalen said. How does this pilot know who we are? Unknown, replied Ilara, but they're fighting the Krell to protect us. Helmsman, prepare to follow their course on my mark. The small ship continued its dance with the Krell hunters, drawing their fire while gradually leading both the Predators and the Navari vessel toward a dense nebula at the system's edge. 5 Krell ships peeled off to pursue the unknown vessel directly, while the others continued firing upon the Celestial Seeker. The small ship is hailing us again, reported the communications officer. Their tactics defy logic, muttered Thalen. They're deliberately drawing fire away from us at great risk to themselves. The voice returned. Navari vessel, when I give the signal, engage your emergency thrusters at full capacity and head directly into the nebula's outer boundary. Trust me. Who are you? Ilara asked. There was a brief pause before the reply came. A friend. Get ready. Now. The small vessel suddenly released a cloud of particles that ignited in a brilliant flash, temporarily blinding the Krell sensors. The celestial seeker surged forward on emergency power, following the smaller craft into the nebula's edge. The Krell ships followed, but as they entered the radiation field, their energy weapons began to malfunction. The small vessel led the Navari to a pocket of stable space within the nebula, deep enough to shield them from immediate detection. We've lost them for now, said Thelen, checking the sensors. But they'll find us eventually. The unknown vessel is requesting permission to dock, reported the hangar control officer. Ilara hesitated only briefly. Granted. Security team to the hangar bay. Non-aggressive posture, but stay alert. This pilot just saved our lives, but we know nothing about them. Minutes later, the security team escorted a single figure onto the bridge. The crew fell silent as they beheld a species none had ever encountered. The being was Bictal, shorter than most Navari, with copper-toned skin and dark hair tied back from a face with remarkably expressive features. It wore a fitted flight suit with patches bearing unfamiliar symbols and carried a small device at its hip. Hello, said the being, raising an empty hand in what seemed to be a peaceful gesture. Commander Marcus Chen of Earth's Interstellar Defense Force. Sorry for the dramatic entrance, but you looked like you needed help. Earth? Repeated Ilara. We have no records of such a world or species. Marcus smiled, revealing flat teeth with small canines. That doesn't surprise me. We're new to this sector of space. I was on a reconnaissance mission when I detected your distress signals and the Krell energy signatures. He looked around the bridge. You're Navari, right? We've intercepted enough transmissions to learn about your species, though this is our first actual meeting. Thelen stepped forward. How did you know how to fight the Krell? They've hunted our research vessels for cycles. Marcus's expression grew serious. Let's just say humans have some experience with predators. Those Krell ships have a predictable attack pattern once you understand their psychology. He glanced at the view screen showing the Krell ships beginning a search pattern. But they'll find us soon. They don't give up easily once they've chosen prey. We owe you our gratitude, said Ilara formally. But I fear you've only delayed the inevitable. Our ship is damaged, our shields are failing, and we're outnumbered. Marcus studied the Navari captain with curious eyes. Perhaps you've just gained something the Krell weren't expecting. And what is that? Asked Thelen. The human's lips curved into what the Navari would later learn was a determined smile. The human factor. Before Ilara could ask what he meant, the sensors blared another alert. Captain, called the sensor operator. 5 more Krell ships have entered the system. They're converging on our position. Marcus moved to the tactical display without invitation, studying it with intense focus. 13 against 2, and one of us is damaged, he murmured. Not great odds. He looked up at Ilara. But I've seen worse. Do you trust me enough to try something unconventional, Captain? The Navari crew looked to their captain as she considered the human who had appeared from nowhere to save them. They were surrounded, damaged, and out of options. What do you propose, Commander Chen? Marcus's eyes gleamed with a strange mix of calculation and excitement that the Navari had never seen in a sentient species before. First, I need to know everything about your ship's capabilities. Then we're going to show the Krell something they've never encountered. And what is that? Asked Thelen. Human ingenuity, replied Marcus. And the reason why, on my world, predators learned to fear the prey that fought back. The command center of the Celestial Seeker had transformed from an atmosphere of despair to one of frantic activity. Marcus moved between workstations with a confidence that both puzzled and inspired the Navari crew. They were scientists accustomed to methodical approaches and careful analysis, yet this human operated with a strange blend of intuition and calculated risk. "Your shield modulation is too predictable," Marcus explained to the engineering team. "The Krell are calibrating their weapons to the frequency pattern." Chief Engineer Viller, his tendrils twitching with skepticism, replied, "Random shield modulation would be inefficient. It requires 37% more energy." Marcus nodded. "Yes, but being dead is 100% inefficient. Trust me on this." Captain Ilara observed the interaction with fascination. In the 3 hours since the human had come aboard, he had identified vulnerabilities in their systems that the Navari had never considered. Their logical evolutionary path had created blind spots, patterns of thinking that the predatory Krell had learned to exploit. "Your species evolved differently than most spacefaring civilizations," noted Thalen, who had been assigned as Marcus's liaison. "You display both cooperative and competitive behavior simultaneously." Marcus smiled as he reconfigured the tactical display. "On Earth, we were middle-order predators for most of our evolution. We hunted, but we were also hunted. It shaped how we think." "That explains your unpredictable tactics," said Ilara, joining them. "The Krell expect logical prey behavior, either fight directly or flee directly." "Exactly." Marcus pointed to the display showing the Krell search pattern. "They think like apex predators because that's what they are. But humans," he paused, considering his words, "we're something else entirely. We understand both sides of the equation." The ship's sensors chimed an alert. "They found us," reported the sensor operator. "All 13 Krell vessels are moving into attack formation." "Sooner than I expected," muttered Marcus. "Are the modifications to the shield system complete?" "Yes," confirmed Vaylor, "though I maintain my objection to this inefficient use of power." "Noted," said Marcus. "What about the communication buoys?" "Prepared according to your specifications," replied another engineer, "though I don't understand how simple communication devices will help against Krell weaponry." Marcus's expression hardened in a way the Navari hadn't seen before. "They're not just communication devices anymore." Ilara returned to the command chair. "All crew to battle stations. Implement Chen Protocol Alpha." The Navari moved with precision, but there was a new energy in their movements, something that hadn't been there before. Marcus had called it hope, but to the Navari, it felt more like a strange fusion of fear and possibility. "The Krell are hailing us," reported the communications officer with surprise. "They never communicate with prey." "Put it through," ordered Ilara. A harsh, guttural voice filled the bridge. "Navari vessel and unknown craft. You have intruded on Krell hunting territory. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Resistance will only extend your suffering." Marcus stepped forward. "May I?" he asked Ilara. The captain nodded, curious about what the human would say. "This is Commander Chen of Earth," he announced clearly. "We acknowledge your message and offer this response. Come and get us." He cut the transmission before the Krell could reply. The Navari crew stared at him in shock. "You challenged them?" asked Thalen, his skin pulsing with alarm patterns. "I made them angry," corrected Marcus. "Angry predators make mistakes." The tactical display showed the Krell formation shifting, becoming more aggressive and less coordinated. "It's working," observed Ilara with surprise. "They're breaking their standard attack pattern." Marcus moved to the helm station. "That's just step one. When they come at us, they'll expect us to either run toward open space or make a stand and fight. We're going to do neither." He pointed to the dense radiation pockets within the nebula. "We're going in there." "That's suicide," protested Vaylor. "Our navigation systems cannot process the radiation variables quickly enough for safe passage." "Not with your standard algorithms," agreed Marcus. "But I've uploaded a new navigation approach to your systems. It's based on fluid dynamics rather than fixed-point calculations." The bridge crew exchanged glances. These concepts were foreign to their methodical way of thinking. Yet the human spoke with such certainty. The Krell are moving into firing range, reported the tactical officer. Shields to Chen random modulation, ordered Ilara. Helm, prepare for nebula insertion on Commander Chen's mark. Marcus took a position beside the helmsman. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Execute. The human factor. The celestial seeker surged forward, its engines straining as it accelerated directly toward the Krell formation. At the last possible moment, the ship veered sharply, releasing the modified communication buoys in a scattered pattern before diving into the dense radiation pockets of the nebula. Behind them, the Krell ships fired, but the randomly modulating shields absorbed the initial barrage better than expected. Several Krell vessels followed them into the nebula, while others circled its perimeter, waiting for them to emerge. Detonation sequence for the buoys, asked Ilara. Not yet, replied Marcus, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. We need more of them to commit to the chase. Inside the nebula, the celestial seeker moved in patterns that defied conventional space navigation. Instead of avoiding the radiation pockets, they used them as shields, sometimes even nudging energy currents into the path of pursuing Krell ships. 9 Krell vessels now inside the nebula, reported the tactical officer. 3 have sustained minor damage from radiation surges. They're not used to prey that uses the environment as a weapon, explained Marcus. Now let's show them something else they're not expecting. He turned to Ilara. Captain, I need control of your primary research equipment, specifically the quantum crystalline analysis tools. Ilara hesitated only briefly. Granted, but what possible use? Your spectral analysis equipment can be repurposed, Marcus explained quickly as they evaded another Krell ship. If we reconfigure the emitters to match the resonant frequency of the nebula's particulate matter. Understanding dawned in Thalen's eyes. You want to trigger a chain reaction in the nebula itself. Exactly, said Marcus with a nod of approval. Not enough to cause a stellar event, just enough to create an electromagnetic pulse that will blind their sensors and damage their external weapon systems. That's not how our research equipment was designed to function, protested Velar. Welcome to humanity's greatest skill, replied Marcus with a grim smile. Creative repurposing. As the Navari scientists hurriedly reconfigured their equipment to Marcus's specifications, the Krell closed in from multiple directions. We can't evade much longer, warned the helmsman. Our predictive algorithms are reaching their calculation limits. Then we stop evading, said Marcus. Bring us to relative stop behind that large radiation pocket. Divert all power from engines to the modified crystalline emitter. As the Navari crew executed his orders with growing confidence, Marcus opened a channel to his own ship. Athena, status report. A synthesized voice responded. Beacon deployed, Commander. Reinforcements estimated arrival in 17 minutes. We might not have 17 minutes, muttered Marcus. He turned to Ilara. Captain, is your crew ready for what comes next? The Navari captain's skin pulsed with determination. We are scientists, Commander Chen. We adapt to new data. Marcus nodded, a smile touching his lips. Emitter status. Ready, confirmed Thalen. But we've never tested this application. The outcome is unpredictable, finished Marcus. That's the point. Predators rely on predictability. He turned to Ilara. Captain, on your order. Ilara stood from her command chair. Activate the emitter. Detonate the buoys. Across the nebula, the modified communication buoys exploded simultaneously, creating localized shockwaves that pushed radiation and particulate matter toward the center where the celestial seeker had positioned itself. As the wavefront approached, the crystalline emitter activated, sending out a precisely calibrated energy pulse that interacted with the nebula's unique composition. The result exceeded even Marcus's expectations. A brilliant cascade of energy rippled outward, temporarily blinding all sensors in the area, but leaving the celestial seeker protected in its pocket of calm. Krell vessels reporting multiple system failures, announced the tactical officer, his voice betraying rare excitement. Their weapons are offline. Now we show them what happens when the prey decides to hunt back, said Marcus. Captain, I recommend we target their propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. Ilara gave the order, and for the first time in recorded history, a Navari research vessel went on the offensive against Krell hunters. Using the precision targeting systems designed for delicate scientific measurements, they systematically disabled the engines of 3 nearby Krell ships. The remaining Krell vessels, sensing the changed dynamic, began to regroup for a coordinated attack. Despite their damaged systems, they still outnumbered and outgunned the Celestial Seeker. Their adaptive protocols are compensating faster than anticipated, noted Thelen with concern. They're restoring weapons functionality. Marcus checked the time. We need to hold out for another 8 minutes. He studied the tactical display. Captain, can your ship execute a controlled plasma venting sequence? Yes, but Veller began to object. Do it, ordered Ilara. I believe I see the commander's intent. The Celestial Seeker vented plasma in a strategic pattern, creating a temporary screen that confused the Krell targeting systems. It bought them precious minutes, but the Krell were adapting quickly. Earth Defense Force Rapid Response Squadron, Marcus explained with evident pride. The cavalry has arrived. The human ships moved with coordinated precision that nonetheless appeared random to observers. They attacked from multiple angles simultaneously, confusing the Krell's defensive algorithms. Unlike the methodical, predictable attack patterns of other species, the humans seemed to employ chaos as a strategy. Their tactics make no logical sense, muttered Thalen as they watched the battle unfold. Yet they're devastatingly effective. Human combat doctrine, explained Marcus. Controlled chaos. We understand pattern recognition because our brains evolved to both create and break patterns. He pointed to a particular human vessel executing a complex maneuver. See that? Looks random, but it's actually forcing the Krell into a predictable response, which that ship over there is already countering. Within minutes, the tide of battle had turned dramatically. The Krell, facing an enemy they couldn't predict, began to retreat, something the Navari had never witnessed before. They're running away. Ilara could hardly believe what she was seeing. Predators only hunt when they're sure of victory, said Marcus. When the risk outweighs the reward, they find easier prey. His console chimed. My squadron commander is hailing us. The view screen activated to show another human, this one with darker skin and gray at her temples. Commander Chen, your distress beacon indicated you found friends in need. I see you've been busy. Marcus straightened. Captain Rivera, may I introduce Captain Ilara Voss of the Navari research vessel Celestial Seeker. Captain Voss, this is Captain Sofia Rivera of the EDF Thermopylae. Rivera nodded respectfully. Captain Voss, on behalf of Earth, I formally extend our protection and friendship to your vessel and people. The Krell have retreated for now, but they'll return with reinforcements. We should move to safer space. We accept your protection with gratitude, Captain Rivera, replied Ilara. Though I must admit, my people will have many questions about yours. Rivera smiled. As we will about yours. Commander Chen, excellent work. Your unconventional thinking saved lives today. Just applying what I learned in tactical history, Captain, Marcus replied. Humans have been turning the tables on predators since we figured out how to use sticks as spears. After the communication ended, the Navari crew surrounded Marcus with questions. The concept of a species that had evolved as both predator and prey fascinated them. Your unpredictability is not random at all, observed Thalen. It's a sophisticated adaptive strategy. We call it thinking outside the box, Marcus explained. When you've spent your evolutionary history being hunted by things bigger and stronger than you learn to use your brain in creative ways. Then when you become hunters yourselves, you apply those same principles. As the Celestial Seeker was escorted to safety by the human squadron, Ilara approached Marcus on the observation deck. The nebula glowed behind them, its beauty unchanged by the battle that had taken place within it. Your people arrived very quickly, she noted, almost as if they were waiting nearby. Marcus nodded. Earth has been monitoring this sector for some time. We knew about the Krell and their hunting patterns. When we detected your research vessels entering Krell territory, we deployed scouts to keep watch. You were studying us as we studied the stars, Ilara said, realization dawning. We're explorers too, Marcus replied. Just explorers who remember what it's like to be both the hunter and the hunted. He turned to face her directly. Captain Voss, Earth is proposing an alliance with the Navari. Your scientific knowledge combined with our unconventional thinking could benefit both our peoples and protect us from the Krell, added Ilara. Not just protect, corrected Marcus. Teach them that not all species are simply prey or predator. That there's a third option they haven't encountered before. And what is that third option, Commander Chen? Marcus smiled, that determined human smile that was already becoming familiar to the Navari crew. Partnership. Cooperation between different evolutionary paths. The Krell understand dominance hierarchies. They are about to discover that they're not at the top anymore. 3 months later, a Krell hunting fleet entered what had once been easy hunting grounds to find a mixed patrol of human and Navari vessels. The human ships moved with their characteristic unpredictability, while the Navari vessels employed new shield technologies and weapon systems that seemed impossibly precise. The Krell commander ordered an immediate retreat, but not before sending a message to his homeworld. The prey have changed. They have found the human factor. Across the galaxy, word spread quickly. The age of unchallenged predators was ending. Humanity had arrived, bringing with them not just their unconventional thinking and adaptive tactics, but something even more powerful, the willingness to stand alongside those who couldn't fight for themselves. In the observation lounge of the newly commissioned Joint Human-Navari Station Cooperation, Captain Ilara Voss stood beside Commander Marcus Chen, watching ships of both their species patrolling together. Your people have a saying, she noted. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Is that why Earth sought us out? Marcus considered this, partially. But there's an older human concept that applies better. Those who hunt monsters must be careful not to become monsters themselves. We didn't want to just defeat the Krell. We wanted to build something better to replace their dominance. And you chose scientists as your first allies, Ilara said. Who better? Marcus replied. You explore and learn. We adapt and protect. Together, we create something neither of us could achieve alone. Outside the viewport, a new class of vessel moved into dock, its design a synthesis of human adaptability and Navari precision. It was the first of many joint projects, a symbol of what different evolutionary paths could achieve when they recognized the strength in their differences. The human factor had changed the equation, and the galaxy would never be the same again.